So I'm looking at her like, girl, you didn't told me you may send me home, but look at me. I'm ready, girl. Take me upstairs. My time is now.
Everything's so right, and I just wanna hear the tip of my love.
Ray on the beat.
This is how I feel. I've been needing love.
Hey y'all, welcome back to my channel. Today's video is going to be a story time. Before we get into the story time though, make sure you all go follow my cousin on Instagram at pip50_51. He is responsible for my outro. Make sure you guys send him a DM if you guys want to have an outro made. And also, I want you guys to shoot an email over to ar.remodeling@yahoo.com for all of your construction and remodeling needs, okay? Make sure that you check those two small businesses out and make sure you support if you're in need, okay? So, back to my story time. Today's story time is going to be about my labor story. I actually had a really good labor, really good pregnancy. I am at this point 4 months postpartum and almost 5 months actually. Yeah, almost 5 months. On the 11th of February, I'll be 5 months postpartum. Let's just start here. My labor story is, I think, a funny, not funny, but it's not a horror story. My due date was September 14th, 2020. And that was so funny to me because that is my grandmother's birthday. One of my grandmother's birthday. And throughout my entire pregnancy, all of my appointments were on Tuesday. So, when you first start off, you go through your appointments, I think once a month. And then once you get closer to your due date, you go every 2 weeks, And then when it's almost that time, you're going every week to make sure that everything is in check. So the day is, I don't even have a calendar in front of me, but if my due date was on September 14th, which was that was a Monday, because the 15th was my last appointment, was supposed to be my last appointment. So my due date was on September 14th, which was on a Monday. That previous Tuesday, I had a doctor's appointment. And in that doctor's appointment, I was going to go to get my cervix checked. But wait, rewind. Let's take it back to that Sunday before that Tuesday. That Sunday, my mucus plug came out. Y'all, I am a very dramatic person. Let me just start by saying that. So we, as women, we go through this phase of trying to self-educate. When you're pregnant, you want to read as much as you could possibly read. I know me personally, I did. I was reading a lot, downloading the Baby Center. I downloaded the Baby Center app to keep up with my weekly advancements and weekly developments of my baby. So I downloaded the Baby Center app. I read articles all the time, watched YouTube stories, really was trying to prepare myself for labor, okay? Because I just had it in my mind that I was going to be prepared. I was not going to be misinformed. I was going to be prepared. So that Sunday when my mucus plug came out, everything that I read went in one ear, out the other ear, and I panicked. I'm like, okay, this is go time. I'm about to have this baby. My mucus plug then came out. I'm rocking back and forth like, okay, let me mentally prepare myself. Let me get my breathing going. But that was not the case, y'all. When my mucus plug came out, it was just like, okay, boop, it came out. No contractions, no cramping, no pain, no anything, okay? So back to that Tuesday, I went to the doctor. She checked my cervix and she told me that I was not dilated at all. So I was like, okay, I was salty because I'm like, I'm ready to have this baby. When you get towards I had a really great pregnancy, let me just say that. But when you get towards the end, you're uncomfortable, you can't sleep. You just want to get the baby out. You want to have your body back because it's just like the baby is moving around. And you're anxious. You want to meet your baby. So when she told me, I'm like, okay. So she said, but don't let that, discourage you. I have had plenty of situations where I have checked the patient and she was not dilated. Then the next day she went into labor. So I was like, okay, I believe you. I didn't really believe her because she blew me when she told me I wasn't dilated. So she ruined the whole thing for me. So go home on Wednesday. On the next day, which was a Wednesday, I was up making food, just eating, and I started feeling little cramps. I'm like, okay, maybe this is the start of it. But they were like 30 minutes to an hour apart. And they would come and they would be like on a scale of 1 to 10, probably like a 0.5. And let me just say this. I have a very low tolerance for pain, but I had done so much reading and like, I guess trying to mentally prepare myself for labor. Cause initially I thought I was going to have a natural birth. Well, I planned on giving birth naturally. So I was trying to, think about my breathing and just really try to fight through my contractions. So I'm like, okay, this little stuff, I can do this. That lasted throughout the whole day on Wednesday. But on Thursday when I woke up, my contractions at this point were like 15 to 30 minutes apart, and they were, becoming more intense. So I called the doctor's office and she told me, don't worry about it. You may be in labor, you may not be in labor because you are a first time mom. And that's another thing they kept telling me throughout my pregnancy. You're a first time mom. You may go over 40 weeks. Prepare yourself to go for 40 weeks. At this point, I was, 39, 40 weeks. And I'm like, okay, I wasn't trying to hit it. Don't tell me what I may or may not do. You're not God, woman. I mean, you're the professional. You have the knowledge, but you're not God. I may not go over 40 weeks. I feel these contractions right now, and I know I ain't never felt nothing like this before. So, yeah, my contractions were just, they were becoming more consistent, but I was moving through them. I wasn't, trying to lay down. That night, when night fell, I'm like, oh, now it just felt like, honestly, you guys, I can't even describe to y'all what the contractions felt like because it's like an indescribable pain. So, night fell and those contractions started hitting, okay? I felt them in my butt. I felt them in my stomach and my side. They just stopped you, okay? And at first I was laying down, and I remember everything that the women in my family told me, don't lay down throughout your contractions. You got to get up and move because when you lay down, they hit you worse. So, try to move and be active through your contractions. And I'm like, okay, let me get up. Let me not try to mope around, even though I don't have the energy. And I started getting on the little workout wall, moving my hips, trying to do something I seen on YouTube, trying to work the baby down into the birth canal. I'm like, okay, this is it. I can do this. And then I would sometimes rock back and forth on the birthing ball, or the exercise ball, whatever y'all want to call it. I don't know the correct name for it, but I was calling myself trying to work, the baby down into the birth canal. I'm like, oh, I can do this. So when the contractions went from 15 to 30 minutes apart, now they were like 7 to 15 minutes apart. So I ran some warm water, and I just kind of was sitting in the water to try to, I guess, soothe it. And then I was squatting it, and I had my phone. I was on YouTube trying to do things to get my mind off of it, and I was trying to breathe through it. And at like 1 o'clock in the morning, I stayed in that water until the water got cold. So I was in there for a long time. And around like 1:30, the contractions started hitting, y'all, and the pain was increasing over time. Like it definitely was. They definitely were becoming more intense. But that contraction that I had at 1:30 made me drop a tear, and I'm like, oh no, baby, I didn't been through. At this point, I guess you could say I was in labor. I don't know, active labor. I had been experiencing contractions for 2 days, so I'm gonna say I was in labor for 2 days. But yeah, y'all, that last contraction made me drop a tear, and I was like, if this is what it's gonna feel like, I don't want it. No, but it really truly did make me cry. Like, I thinking back on it, I know I'm dramatic, but y'all, that contraction, it was like, okay, girl, this is what you want, and I'm about to get. That's exactly what God said. This is what you want. I'm about to give you what you want. That last contraction let me know, okay, this is real. So I go and I lay down in the bed. I caught myself trying to go to sleep, but I didn't go to sleep. I hadn't really slept that whole week. I was taking, like, I didn't really sleep, to be honest. I was uncomfortable. I couldn't get comfortable enough to get a good night's rest. So what I was doing was taking naps, little cat naps, 15, 20-minute naps, and surviving off that. How? I don't know, but that's what it was. And it's so crazy how God works, because normally my mom is asleep at 9 o'clock p.m. on the dot. At 2 o'clock in the morning, I text her, I said, Mom, I think I need to go to the hospital because it's getting real. Like, these contractions are starting to hurt more and more. And she was like, you need to go, go, go. So, it's, again, as much as you try to prepare for birth, have your bag packed, me and my boyfriend was scrambling. Get this, should we take this? Do you need this? Do we bring this? I'm like, man, come on. Look, I'm telling myself, like, girl, forget all this stuff. You gotta go to the hospital because you're in labor. Your contractions are hurting you. So we get in the car. We were like 15 minutes away from the hospital. So we're going, and I'm low-key in the passenger seat, not mad at my boyfriend, but a little irritated because he's trying to dodge the bumps on the road, but you can't dodge every bump in Chicago. It's just impossible. So every bump that we went over sent me in just, I'm like, oh my God, I can't do this. So we get to the hospital. He had us in the car because of COVID. Crazy having a baby in a pandemic. Let me say that. Having a baby in a pandemic is crazy because you cannot have your loved ones in there with you. They restrict how many people you can bring up. It was just a crazy experience. So, yeah, we get to the hospital. They take me up. Before they admit me to my own room, the nurse came in and checked my cervix. Okay, she's like, yeah, but before she checks the cervix, y'all, she's giving me the rundown. Oh, we're gonna check you because a lot of times women come in and they think that they're in active labor where we can take them up, and they're really not far enough dilated for us to take her up. But I'm just gonna let you know that we may end up sending you back home. So I'm just looking at her like, and as I'm looking at her and as she's having this long talk with me, I'm having contraction after contraction. So I'm just looking at her like, are you ready to check my cervix? Because at this point, I'm ready to check it myself. So she goes and she checks my cervix, and she has this look. She's like, I'm gonna say you're about 5 to 6 centimeters dilated. Oh my goodness, you're really far along. So I'm looking at her like, girl, you didn't tell me you may send me home, but look at me. I'm ready, girl. Take me upstairs. My time is now. So she's like, well, let me call in your midwife. I had a midwife during my pregnancy. She was like, let me call in your midwife to double check. And I was so excited because getting closer to the due date, my midwife was telling me that I wanted to know who was going to deliver my baby. And she was like, I'll be on duty when you're there. I'm like, so what she said, let me go get my midwife. I'm like, hallelujah. So she goes to get my midwife and she checks me and she's like, you're closer to 6 centimeters dilated. She was like, you've done the big part, Capri. She was like, this is amazing. You really did it. She was like, you've done the hard part. She was like, and for you to be a first time mommy, you just now coming in. At this point, you have weathered the storm. She was like, this is amazing. So they had to give me a COVID test. So once they tell me that I can go upstairs, I'm texting my family like, it's showtime, okay? And I'm waiting, but I'm studying thinking about, what about my boyfriend? Is he just gonna sit in the car? Like, does he have to sit in the car? When are y'all gonna go get him? They told me that he could not come up until my COVID test came back negative. So, they gave me a COVID test. That was my first time getting a COVID test the entire pandemic, and it absolutely was not as bad as everybody made it out to be. So they gave me my COVID test, came back negative, took me up to my room, and because I wanted a natural birth, I wanted to do like a water birth, but my hospital did not support that. So what they did for me was give me a room with a tub in it, and in that room, I went in, they ran the water for me, and I got in the tub, and it was very dark. My midwife sat in the room with me, and this was in the process of them going to get my boyfriend. So my midwife sat in the bathroom with me while I was in the tub, and we just talked, played games, and it was just really peaceful. I enjoyed being around people that do not have to talk all the time. Like, we just sat there and we were quiet and just enjoyed each other's company. To be honest, she was a support system for me, and it was cool. So we went there. I stayed in the tub for about an hour. Then my boyfriend came up and he was in there with me and he was taking pictures, and I wanted pictures to be taken because I wanted to, you know, capture the experience. But y'all, I was tired, okay? I was honestly tired. So they came and got me out of the tub, and they hooked me up to the baby monitor to, I guess, track the baby's heart rate and things like that. So I'm sitting down in the bed and the contractions are steady coming. So at this point I've reached 7 centimeters. But now these contractions, I'm laid back in the bed and it's not, I kind of didn't want to lay down because like I told y'all before, all of the women in my family kept telling me, you know, you don't want to just be still when you're in labor, you want to move. So I got up and I was walking around the room as I was in labor. And I was just trying to keep myself active because the contractions were starting to really hit me. And I know I told y'all that I cannot describe how it felt, but I read an article and a doctor compared the feeling to breaking all 52 bones in your body. Y'all, that's what it felt like, okay? It felt like somebody was taking my pelvis and just opening it and opening it and opening it. And now at this point, the midwife came in and she was doing this technique where you put pressure on my hips to take my mind away from the pressure that's going on in my pelvis. So she's pushing me and we're rocking side to side. Then her and my boyfriend are swapping off and doing this, and I'm going on a ball. So y'all, I was doing good. I know I was doing good because everybody kept telling me I was doing good, and I felt like they meant it, but it was just getting to be unbearable. And thank God I signed the papers before for the epidural because I wouldn't have been able to sign it while I was in pain the way I was because it was too much, y'all. So we at this point are like 7.5 centimeters, and the midwife she's talking me through my contractions. She's helping me breathe. We're going up the mountain. No, we're going up the hill and sliding down. No, we're going up the mountain and sliding down the hill. Something like that. But that's how she was helping me get over the contractions. So then it came to the point where they were about to break my water. She was like, lay down. It's time for us to break your water. I'm like, huh, okay. So she took the water breaking tube, whatever it is, broke my water. I'm like, am I peeing on myself? Yeah, I did not know. And we get back on the birthing ball. So now I'm on the birthing ball and I'm going back and forth after having my water broken. And y'all, I literally, like, the water did not stop. It just did not stop. It just didn't stop. I'm like, y'all, am I using the bathroom on myself? What is this? Why is the water still leaking out? So the water is just leaking out and I'm just rocking side to side, rocking side to side. And I'm like, oh my goodness, y'all, this is just too much. I'm holding my boyfriend's hands and I'm squeezing on him for dear life because I'm like, what is going on, y'all? My body was tired. I was legit tired. I was screaming to the top of my lungs. The nurses were coming in and out. Well, I wasn't screaming to the top of my lungs, but I was just like, like a grunt. And the nurses kept coming in, talking to me, asking me questions. And I was just like, please, be quiet. Stop talking to me. When I was having those contractions, I didn't want anybody talking to me. I didn't want to hear a sound. I wanted it to be complete la 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 quiet, okay? I wanted it to be quiet until I was done with that contraction. When I got done with the contraction, then we can talk about anything we could within that time frame in between having those contractions. So, where am I now? The water broke, contractions booming. Now we're at the point where I felt like I was shaking. Not I felt like, but I was shaking. I was grinding my teeth. I broke a bracket while I was in labor. I was just, my body was tired, y'all. And I was doing like this. They kept telling me that I was doing really good and I was getting close to pushing the baby out because I was like grunting like like it was like pushing the baby down. So I finally gave in and I'm like, you know, I'm scared because, not scared, but I'm just exhausted. Like I'm nervous because I'm exhausted. My body is tired. I don't know how much more I could put my body through because it hurts that badly. Like, please, come on. So, I opted for the epidural and the midwife told me, I said, I need it now. I need you to bring the epidural in now. And they anesthesiologist or epidurologist, whoever he was. He came right in, and they told me at this point I was 7.5, like I was very close to 8 centimeters. And they told me because I was a first time mom that I could get the epidural at any point as long as I am able to sit still. Y'all, everybody in the room had to hold me like I was in a straitjacket. They had to hold me to make sure that I did not move, because that's serious. I moved the wrong way while he got this big needle in my back. It can mess me up. So it was very hard. They kept telling me, you know, Caprice, stop moving. You know, you don't move. And I did well. I did not move. But it was so hard, y'all, because at that point when he was putting the epidural in my back, my contractions was like 2 minutes apart. So they were back to back. Every time I got done with one, another one came, and I was just screaming. Not screaming, I keep saying screaming, but I was just grunting like, you know, like when you constipate and you trying to push it out. That's how I was. I was grunting because I was in so much pain. So he numbed my back, and as he's putting the needle in, I said, hold on, I feel this. I don't think he had enough numbing cream. He was like, can you feel that? I'm like, yes, I can. So he numbed it some more, and he put the thing in. And y'all, when he shot that epidural up my back, oh, I just went to sleep. I was tired. It was like the best sleep of my life. I felt immediate relief from all the pain that I had been going through. And all the nurses was like, oh, she's so nice now. I was not mean to my nurses, y'all, but I just did not want to talk. I'm like, ugh. It was like, this is the first time we've seen you smile. I'm like, yeah, I was in pain, ladies. Sorry. I didn't want to talk. I did not want to talk. And the person who did the epidural was like, yeah, but she was polite. She kept saying thank you still throughout the way, but she definitely feels, you can tell she feels much better. So now I'm on the epidural, and I finally get to rest. I go to sleep, y'all. And when I wake up to the midwives in the room, and they looking at me like, it's time to go, it's time to go. So, and I honestly don't remember if my boyfriend was awake or asleep at that moment. I feel like I had to wake him up and tell him like it's time, or maybe he was woke already. But we looked at each other and was like, I was excited. Like, I had been at the hospital all day, and this was on Friday. So I ended up giving birth on 9/11, September 11th, and at 6:58 p.m. I pushed for a good 30 minutes and the baby came out. But we did like some practice pushes at first. Like 1, 2, 3. And y'all, I felt so dumb because my midwife kept telling me, hold your air, Caprice, hold your air. So now I know that when she said that, she meant for me to go and push like that. But my slow self, that's how I was pushing. I was trying to do anything to get this baby out. And I honestly, to be truthful with you all, I wasn't pushing for real, because I felt like she was telling me anything to try to get me to push. So when she told me that she could see my baby's head, and then my boyfriend told me, I'm like, oh, this is real. My baby is here. And he looked down, y'all, and was like, she got hair, I can see hair. And I'm like, ah! Like, he was so excited. So I'm like, okay, this is go time. Let me hurry up and push this baby out. So now it clicked in my head to say, oh, she means, you know, push like that and hold the air. So when we did that a few times, and y'all, getting the head out was the hardest that I had to push. Like, and the pushing wasn't hard at all. I didn't feel the pushing because I was numb. And she kept telling me, that's another thing, she kept telling me, hold your legs, Caprice, hold your legs. I'm like, girl, I have all this epidural running through my body. I kept clicking that button, click, 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 click. It was like, anytime you need more epidural, click it, click, 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 click. I was clicking that button, y'all, because I didn't want to feel no pain. And I'm like, woman, my legs are numb. This is dead weight to me. I cannot hold my legs up, push this baby out, and still look to see if my baby is coming out okay. You know, I can't do that. So I'm just looking out like, all right, think about these legs, get this baby, okay? Whatever you do, make sure you catch my baby. So she pushed. I was pushing, pushed that head out. Once her head was out, everything else was just like, bloop, just came out. And then they just kind of threw her on my chest. I'm like, I want to go to sleep, but they threw her on my chest, and it was just like, it happened so fast. It happened so fast. So everybody was like, ah, she's here, your baby is here, your baby is here. And she was so warm and she cried. They did not have to make her cry. Thank you, Jesus. The baby came out with 2 hands, 2 arms, 2 legs, 10 toes, 10 fingernails, 10 fingers, 2 ears, 2 eyeballs, 1 face, 1 nose, a set of lips. All of her limbs were perfectly. She came out a perfectly healthy baby. She was 8 pounds and 7 ounces, y'all. I had my little baby, and it was just like a relief, you know, to have the baby out. I'm not pregnant anymore. After they, you know, and after you give birth to your baby, they you have to give birth to your placenta. And when they pushed down on my stomach, I'm like, girl, is there another baby in there? Why is this hurting so bad? So I get pushed the placenta out, and they pushed down for the blood. And that was really it. I came and got my baby, and we immediately did chest to chest, or skin to skin. My boyfriend was able to do skin to skin as well. And they immediately put on the boob, because I am exclusively breastfeeding. I don't, thank God willing, I won't have to give my baby any formula at all, which is a blessing, because breastfeeding is something that is sensitive. It's, first of all, it's a sensitive topic, because not all women can breastfeed. Not all women can produce enough milk to exclusively breastfeed. So I am extremely blessed to be able to have the experience to produce milk, and produce enough milk at that to only feed my baby breast milk. I guess they call it liquid gold, and it is liquid gold. Okay, so they put on the boob. We had to learn how to latch. And that was it. It was just like, she's here, I'm happy. Oh, my rubber band just popped. She's here, I'm happy, we're happy, my family is happy, and she's healthy. I'm a mommy now. So, yep, y'all, that is my labor story. It was a smooth labor story. Well, a smooth labor. I only had to push for 30 minutes. She came out, got on my stomach, and that was it. Now I have a 4-month-old, y'all. Not only do I have a baby, I have a 4-month-old, and she is so sweet. She's getting bigger every day, and you see this face? She looks just like me, okay? She looks just like me. She's a little mini me, Camise and Caprice. So thank you guys for tuning in to this story time. Thank you guys for sitting with me through this long video. I know this is one of my longer videos, but this is a story that I've been wanting to tell, because it's my labor story. It's special to me. It's sentimental, okay? So make sure that you like this video. Tell me about if you feel comfortable sharing your labor story, tell me about your labor story. I want to talk to y'all. Make sure that you comment on this video, give this video a thumbs up, subscribe to my channel, and turn on those post notifications, so that you know every time your girl is back on your timeline or your feed on YouTube. So thanks for watching again. Love you guys. Mwah. Peace.